And I guess we can just get started. Everyone's here and we're already recording. The agenda's in the chat. It's very rough, so we'll just kind of jump around into whatever needs to be talked about. First, I'll say apologies. I've been a little preoccupied these last 2 weeks. But now that the merge is done, most of the projects that had occupied my attention are done. So I'll be back full force on this. So yeah, let's do a quick round robin. And I know I've been at least like keeping up with the chat, so I have an idea of what people are working on, general concepts, but it would be good to get a summary of the current state of things from everyone. Anybody want to start? Maybe the sequencer / coordinator, whatever we're calling it now. What's the latest on that?
Yes, so we're calling it sequencer. We basically combined the code that Kev produced and that we produced in a repo that now lives under /Ethereum, KZG-Ceremony -sequencer. And we're basically working on that one and finishing it up. There's not a whole lot left to do. All the major parts are there. I guess the main thing to be done is a couple of open design discussions or questions or suggestions around the design. I posted some of them in the issue for this call.
Okay, great. Yeah. Carl, do you want to get into the design issues, or should we just do quick updates from everybody first? Do you have a preference?
I'm easy either way.
Okay, yeah, why don't we could just go right into that discussion and make sure to leave time for the other bits. But yeah, go ahead, Remco, if you want to start.
So one of the things that that struck me, and I also talked this through with Kev, is that right now the sequencer uses an RSA public-private key pair for signing the contributions. I would prefer if the coordinator doesn't hold any private key material and operates trustlessly. And there are a couple of ways we can do we can work towards that. One of them is for the Ethereum address authentication. We can do a double signature approach that doesn't involve a coordinator key. For GitHub, there are alternative approaches that involve challenge response and having the user post some item under their account somewhere, like it's common to, like, for example, we could open an issue on the KZG-Ceremony sequencer repo and have everyone post a message on this issue. But this might be a little bit like too bad UX. The GitHub option is already like the easy way in.
Yeah, I'd worry a little bit about that getting just a chaotic thing, and it's very centralized then via that one particular thing. I think maybe GitHub gists are better ways of doing it if we are trying to post things for users.
Yep.
Despite then not having a centralized reference for all of that.
Also, GitHub API is kind of bad with its rate limits. So if you are not using per authenticated user requests, you only get 5,000 requests per hour. So that may not be enough on launch day. If we are doing what we are doing right now, which is every user authenticates with OAuth, we get 5,000 requests per user per hour. So that's going to be more than enough.
That should do it.
Yeah.
Another idea I have is that we're basically using these RSA signatures and JWT as a signing method, so that the coordinator can produce signed messages stating that, hey, I saw this GitHub OAuth and I attest to it being an authentic contribution, signed using a JWT. The reason is Kev on the call? Yes. So yeah, I can quickly recap, but Kev explained that he picked the particular RSA because it was the most widely supported. But then I was thinking maybe we can just have the coordinator have an Ethereum private key and just use an ETH sign message to sign these messages. feels that might be a more Ethereum native way of signing messages.
Yeah, I mean, given that we don't have to, like, if you're implementing a participant, you don't have to verify this yourself. Then you can always do it later, or like that should be fine. I like this approach. I don't know if Kev, you got stuff to add there.
Yeah, I think I spoke with Remco. Yeah, I don't mind this either, because the only reason I chose JW2 is because of the canonical format, and it's just widely available libraries. But if we're assuming Ethereum, then ETH sign should probably be a prerequisite.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, plus somehow something about combining RSA and pairing cryptography irks me.
Yeah, it was hurting me as well while I was.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, that was the first point I had. And actually,
Giali asked if this is the final official version. I'm assuming they're asking if there's just any other design iterations we'll have to take into account.
Specifically for the signing of messages here from the sequencer.
That's a good question.
Yeah, the sign method. Yeah.
Did you say sign in or signing?
Sign in. If it's
Okay.
the same thing. Sorry.
I mean, I don't think the sign in is changing. That's the same. So yes, final official TM. What's been in the repo for quite a while, I guess. The change here is just, well, basically adding. We can verify stuff from the sequencer, so that we can you can point to things if the sequencer quote unquote lies.
Okay, thank you.
So it's more for like safety after the fact and for like arguing about what happened here. If you think the sequencer cheated you or is trying to censor you in certain ways, we can try catch that, or they're trying to trick you by giving you bad points, that kind of thing. We'll then have proof that this happened.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
Yep.
cool. Yeah, that was actually my main discussion point on like how can we make it such that the transcript that results from this can be trustlessly verified. I mean, the actual contributions and everything that's already guaranteed by the ceremony, but these are sort of extra things on top, so you can verify who made the contributions by linking it to other identities. I'm not sure, like, what is the process for finalization here? Because I feel like we're breaking up a little bit. We're breaking up a little bit the spec that was already in a more or less final form. Do we want to revisit more things, or is it just a couple of last minute changes, or like how do we feel about?
I think the current queuing implementation diverged quite significantly from the original spec.
Yeah.
There is no queuing mechanism. We don't care about the ordering. The mechanism that is implemented right now is much simpler.
Yeah. So you tried to merge that into the specs. You opened a PR for that, number 22, that you closed.
So there should be another. So there are two PRs. One just changes the structure of specs, so it's a bit easier to follow. The other one doesn't have any material changes. And then there is another PR that I posted on Telegram, which is in my personal repo because I don't have access to the specs repo, and I wanted to separate it from the structure. And what it does, like what this other PR, let me find a link, does is it describes the queuing strategy. So instead of, sorry, say again?
Is this the lobby branch?
Give me 1 second. Yeah. So
Okay, so from lobby into your local master, and your master is the one with the other changes that you have open in PR21 on the main specs, right?
yeah, correct.
Okay, okay. I see, I see. So can I reopen then your branch, your PR22? Because then that should just be on top of this other one, your other changes you're trying to make, the restructuring.
Yeah, it works. It's just it was confusing to review because the PR22 depends on PR21.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
why I closed 22 so that you can
Yeah.
review
Okay.
the pieces.
Sure, that sounds good. The only reason I haven't merged 22 is I was a little bit confused as to like what things get broken out into the API spec. Like to me, the transcript schema, for example, is not really a part of the API. I don't really care where it goes, but like,
Maybe the folder
wait,
should just be renamed schemas.
yeah. Yeah, sure, schemas or something. Like I just sort of what's API and what's not. Like there's under the sequencer, there's sequencer API.md. It just feels like this got a little bit muddied in all these changes.
Yeah,
like-
so the only thing I did was I took the original files. I haven't really changed their names. I followed whatever they had in the past, and I moved them to a separate directories to categorize by function. So we have like 4 main themes here. One is the contribution format, the other one is the cryptography stuff, and then we have participant and sequencer.
Yeah.
And then I haven't really renamed any of the original files. I just rearranged them so that they go to the folder that describes that concept.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm just trying to point out that I'm a little like, I just found a little confusing as to what's supposed to be where in terms of APIs or not. But look, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna bike shed this. I'm pretty happy enough with this. This new structure.
Yeah,
It is definitely,
I guess the point here is that I was also confused, so I started rearranging it so that it makes more sense. But also, I didn't want to rewrite everything, and I didn't want to, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
giant
I think in the name of good enough and moving forward, let's start there. And if I want to change things in the future, I can open another PR to do that.
Sounds good. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
So you mentioned there were changes in the way the queue works. Could you like?
Yeah, and your lobby PR or your lobby branch.
So Kevin and I discussed, and the current idea is that you have a capped lobby. So let's say you can accept up to 10,000 people in the lobby, and those 10,000 people can ping sequencer, say every 10 seconds. It can be, of course, configured. And then whenever a new spot opens up, whoever pings first, they get to contribute. The one important piece is we don't want people to cheat, so we don't want them to ping sequencer too often, because this way they could starve other users. So what we do is, we do rate limiting, and we expect them to ping 10 seconds plus or minus a second or two because of like random network issues and stuff like that. And then the second thing is, if they don't ping within specified time window, we remove them from the lobby to make space for others. And the only reason why the lobby is capped is to have some sort of memory constraints so that it doesn't grow indefinitely.
Okay. So what was that all sounds pretty reasonable to me. What is the ping interval before you get kicked out of the lobby that you had in mind?
So there is nothing documented right now. It's just a specified interval. What we have in the repo is 30 seconds plus or minus like 2 seconds of tolerance. One thing I was thinking about, like a good number could be around the average time to contribute a file, or like the expected time to contribute a file, so that people don't ping too often. And then if we have full lobby,
So my only concern here is that you have to re-log in. Then if you don't meet these timing requirements, which I guess, like, so my fear is it becomes annoying to use if you like lock your laptop or something or whatever. Now you open up again and it's been more than whatever 3-minute contribution timeout kind of thing, and now you're out of the lobby and you got to re-log in. So I'm trying to think if we can reduce the timing on that, or we'll reduce the requirements on that. So one option would just be to kick the oldest people out of the lobby whenever we like the furthest ping in the past. So the lobby is always of size 10,000. Or something like that. Or just increase
that
time
works.
frame
I think it makes sense to clean the lobby a bit sooner, because then people can see how many people are trying to get a spot right now. So, if you want to contribute, but you don't want your laptop to be open for 3 days, you can just, make sure that there is a reasonable number of people in the lobby.
Okay.
So that's one thing. And then the other thing is, in theory, I don't know how we want to do it in the front end from the user experience point of view, but in theory, you can log in, but not join the lobby and not ping the sequencer. So like you have a valid session, and that session could be separate from.
If that's possible, then that completely changes my opinion on this. Then I think that's fine. Then I don't really mind.
We don't do that right now. I think right for now, to keep things simple, lobby and the sign-in mechanism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was
are
my
connected,
understanding.
but it's.
So this basically means removing the queue altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no queue right now.
What are the things the queue was providing that we wanted that we are now missing out on? Like one thing the queue did was line people up so that people can really start back to back. Like it would, let's say you have a queue of 10 people, one is currently computing, then the moment this one is done, like the people in the queue would be on a much higher polling interval, or they would be on a WebSocket or whatever is necessary to like reach out to them quickly. And they can be started immediately after the previous results are in. And if they don't respond and are offline, they are on much faster timeouts. So they immediately get kicked, and the next one is called on. Basically, the purpose of the queue is to keep the system busy at all times.
We get that.
It doesn't change. You can have like a high frequency pinging for this lobby mechanism, and it's gonna be the same kind of throughput and latency.
Yeah, but also a queue gives you better UX in that if I'm in a queue, I know how long I'm going to spend in the queue. So when I joined and I'm 10th in the queue and the average contribution time is 15 seconds, I know that I'm going to be in the queue for 150 seconds tops. So I have some predictability, right?
But like the queue breaks down from that perspective once it gets very long, and that's where the issues start coming in.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think in queue we're not missing anything in the queue versus lobby land, but I'm just a little bit worried about the sort of login flow here. If there's no, like, if you're going to have to re-log in if you go offline for whatever 3 minutes, if we can push that up to, I don't know, 3 hours, then I think we're starting to do okay again.
That should be a very simple change. I think we can have a separate timer for your let's call it a session, and separate timer for.
Yeah, one caveat there is that well, actually, do we want the actual contribution process to be non-interactive? Is that a hard requirement?
What do you mean by that?
By I go to the website, I log in, I leave the tab open, make sure my laptop doesn't go to sleep or get disconnected, and I go to bed and I wake up and I contributed.
I think that's the desire.
That seems desirable, but it does have some requirements about when we collect entropy, if we want keyboard mashing as an entropy source.
Yeah, I was gonna. Last I understood, we were including that.
And in particular, if we want to do the double signing mechanism, then we actually need to sign the tau G2 point or at least a fraction, like a factor of the tau G2 point. We can do that. It just gets a
so
little bit more tricky.
the double signing, I don't think we can do.
I think we can actually, but it involves a little bit more cryptographic trickery.
I'd be nervous of that. Just from a then like implementation complexity standpoint.
I mean, one way you can do it is to just have the tau G2 point, have the tau basically in memory and ready to go the moment you log in, but then it stays in memory for a long while, which is like not super desirable.
Yeah.
Another thing we can do is have.
Oh, sorry, this is a pub key. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. Oh no, then it's fine. Then I'm fine with it again.
You're fine with having the well, not the pub key, the actual tau.
Yeah.
Needs to be in memory for the duration that you're waiting, because you don't know like the previous contribution you need to add it to yet.
So my argument here. Oh. Okay. So I was gonna argue that the double signing means we need them to sign this ahead of time. Yeah.
You need to do all the interactive stuff up front. So collect entropy and each sign.
Yeah. So I was gonna say we could sample additional entropy at the last moment, but we can't do that.
Can actually.
Not with the not with signing.
You can, but then you need to then the BLS signature changes a little bit in that you basically have a tau 1 and a tau 2.
Yeah.
Where the tau 1 is generated on login, and you can BLS sign using your tau 2, and then you using the tau 1, and then when you actually contribute, you non-interactively collect additional entropy at the moment, and your final contribution will be tau 1 times tau 2.
Yeah.
And then you just do a proof that a factor of tau 1 times tau 2.
Yeah.
I need to like write out the exact.
No,
it shouldn't be too hard.
No.
But yeah, it's a
We
little
use
bit
lot of
less
elegance
elegant.
there. Yeah. But like, it's not like the queue or anything helps it. This is just the fundamental thing of trying to have this double signing mechanism.
Yeah.
All right, so we've spent like 20-ish minutes on this.
Okay.
And have we gotten anywhere concrete, or is it just more discussion? Which is fine.
I mean, I think we've discussed a few things in these 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. How much more time do we have? We have an hour, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, an hour.
Much more to cover, to be honest. I guess after this we can talk about next steps and audits.
Yeah.
This morning the scroll team reached out and said they wanted to contribute, and Kev, you were also there, and
They offered to audit, or what was the?
I asked them if I think we're kind of good on engineering, but we definitely need auditors, and they're a very capable team. So I asked them if they maybe wanted to audit, and they seemed open to it.
Okay.
The implementation.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Very nice.
And speaking with the EF's crypto team, they were also talking about at the very least doing a sanity check, so rough audit, I guess, of this as well. So
excellent.
I think not of the crypto side of things, not of the full implementation, but enough that we should be able to sanity check everything that I'd be comfortable still going live without the quote unquote full audit.
And that would the crypto stuff includes what's already been audited. Is that correct?
Yes, but that doesn't include sort of like entropy generation and like maybe we're doing some other silly things here or there. And then so I guess re-audit of what was done plus some of the periphery things.
Okay, and was it just a general offer, or did they have a specific timeline, or it's just very, very initial?
Very initial.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, but I think ideally we get that going as early as next week.
Okay.
Which thing?
Like an auditing of the sequencer code base, and we
sorry, by Scroll or the EF crypto team?
Both. Either is fine. Depends on like how much time everyone wants to sink in it. But I think the other thing with auditing is that like the common process is code freeze, and then throw it over the fence and have them look at it for 2 weeks and then you get a report back. But that's not necessarily how audits need to work. And actually, a lot of auditors prefer to be along for the ride and like criticize designs before you implement them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more involved, but it is also faster ultimately.
Pipeline.
So,
build.
Carl,
Yeah.
have you gotten them in the Discord channel? Or do you have contacts for them? The
I'll
scroll team.
so the scroll team, no, that's the thing I wasn't involved for. That was
Oh, right. And I guess the EF crypto team, we can
I know
get their
some
stuff.
but scroll I can reach out, but I don't know Kev, the person that just reached out to you this morning.
Yeah, he said he's gonna open up a chat to basically start the introduction.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, ideally, if you can have them just work in the public channel, that's
Yeah.
ideal from my perspective.
Yeah, that's what I told him.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, we can. I'll do some more CI stuff. We can do some CD stuff as well. We can spin up another Fly.io and have a server instance, a staging environment up and running at all times, so people
Yeah.
can do front end development.
I've had discussions with DevOps in terms of like the actual final deployment and whatever beefy machines we need. So that should all be lined up. It's basically now at the point of just tell them exactly what we want and /need and go from there. So
Cool.
that's also looking good for the final deployment, and we can get that a bit early so that we can
Yeah,
test
do
it a
you
bit.
want to use that for staging? We're basically ready for staging right now. The current pipeline builds up into a Docker container. It just doesn't get deployed yet.
So we can do that, absolutely. I guess it's just a question of like how much, like, is this overkill? I'm happy to run it for an extra month. So what exactly
yeah,
the resources we're going to need for those?
we'd be really
Sorry?
yeah, sorry. We'd be really happy if that was up and running. So it'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah, do we need like the production grade performance yet? It would be useful for benchmarking, but other than that, for testing, I don't think we need to have a super expensive server. But then again, like a month of whatever, it's not going to cost
Yeah,
much.
exactly. So I mean, it depends how ready you are to sort of already deploy. The DevOps team is kind of burnt out from the whole merge thing, so I'm probably going to need at least until the weekend before I can get them to be on my side.
Okay.
So maybe on mid next week we can get the full machine if we wanted.
After
But
they had a good reset in Berghain.
yeah, exactly. But if the thing is just to get an endpoint up and testing, it's probably better if we do that on our own separately.
Okay, we can spin that up for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, should we remove the fly.io stuff? It was sort of really simple to push to deployment, just like one command.
I like this fly.io. I looked into it. I can add that to the CI pipeline easily.
Okay.
Probably just need some access token in the GitHub secrets.
Yeah.
Okay. If everyone's happy with this, then let's run with that.
Yep.
Cool. It's a bit backwards, but could we do introductions? Because there's a lot of new faces and I just want to make sure everybody knows who's who and where they're coming from. I guess we can start with the faces to the right of Carl.
Okay. I'm Philip. I'm also working with Franco together at Broadcast usually, but for the last 2 weeks, I've been mostly working on the participant. And I mean, at the beginning, it started like just using vanilla Arc, Arcworks. And then at this point, I think I've implemented like 3 different versions with one Remco's more optimized version of Arc and one BLST and one vanilla Arc. So this would be also my next topic, like how do we participate in that part and also making use of what Kev did there in the cryptography that's been audited. But yeah, that's a brief intro.
Yep. Remco also with WorldCoin. At SBC, I asked Dangrad what I can do to make sure proto sharding gets in ASAP, and he told me to build a trusted service ceremony. So here I am.
Okay, great. And I see one more.
Yep, I'm a DC builder. I'm also with WorldCoin. I'm looking to like different places where I can contribute. So I asked Remco because like I really care about the KZG-Ceremony going well. So I think that the best point where I could contribute is probably the front end for it, and maybe like look over at the like the actual server or the participant code base, so try and help there.
Yeah, also from the WorldCoin team, not in this call, is Miguel, who probably will also help out with the front end stuff.
Yeah.
And we do have some existing people working on the front end stuff, right? Is that Nicholas, or am I misremembering?
Yes. We
Okay.
are working the front end with the PSE team. Right now, I get this last pull request has the latest specifications, so we are gonna try to do like a mock server. So when do you guys think you're gonna have the sequencer code ready to try and test it?
Today or tomorrow.
Oh wow, that's
Probably not like entirely complete yet, but we'll have some sort of an API endpoint up and running.
okay. That will be great. So yeah, we will coordinate with Geoff to see how we go. I have a question. Well, two questions. The first one is that according to the specs, it is say that the client needs to input some entropy, right? And I was talking with Philip about if we could use this entropy, I don't know, a string or whatever the client sends, and use that like a seed, right? We were Philip told me that he was thinking on doing like the string, but also something random. But then I don't know if the client will be able to replicate it later. Or maybe I am just confusing how the thing works. That's question number one. And question number two, if I am not wrong, we're doing like 4 computations, right? So we will need to input 4 entropies, right? And the API will work. So I will just call one API request to contribute, or I will have to call 4 times.
So on the API side, it's once with 4 quote unquote sub ceremonies. So all the files have like 4 subcomponents.
To be
Right.
fair, it will be abstracted by the crypto libraries. And
Yeah.
in terms of entropy contribution, we can just expand as long as there's sufficient entropy in a single contribution. That should cryptographically be fine. There's no reason to like have 4 separate, especially like 4 separate mash the keyboard things. That doesn't make much sense for me.
We do plan to have them as sub contributions, right? Not
Yep.
individual tiles. Not
They
for
need
individual.
to have different tiles, but
Yeah.
that will like
Yeah.
you can just hash chain or do whatever you need
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
to make that happen.
Right. Great.
I guess you could just reuse the user generated entropy and just use different cryptographically generated entropy instead of sort of introducing a pseudo random generator.
Yeah.
Standard key derivation stuff.
Yeah, exactly. If you really want, you can mix in some additional, like just the number of the sub ceremony or something like that if you need to make sure that doesn't conflict. But yeah, ideally sampling additional randomness anyway, so it shouldn't matter.
All right.
All right,
So-
maybe Jeff, I think you were putting on your camera if you wanted to. I don't know if you've introed to the rest of the people. Feel free if you want to.
Hi, yeah, I'm Jeff from the.
Oh, you muted yourself. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Jeff from EF's privacy and scaling team. So we're focusing on the UI aspects of this. So yeah, great to work with all you guys.
Awesome. Greg.
Yeah, hi, I'm Greg. I also work for WorldCoin. I'm based out of Poland, and I was I joined last week. I was working on the sequencer part of things, so making sure that each gets a contribution slot and that we have high throughput.
Cool. Marcin, is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes, that is exactly how we pronounce it. Right, so I'm Marcin. I work with Raylabs, which currently is working with WorldCoin, and also trying to push that backend across as soon as possible.
Awesome. I guess we could just go all around. This is the first call with everybody. So I'm on the protocol support team, which is typically does network upgrades. This is more of like a focused project that I've taken on. So I would say co-leading with Carl. Carl does a lot of the technical stuff and I'm doing more of the coordination type activities. Yeah, that's about it for me at the EF. Who wants to go next? Maybe Kev.
Yeah, I am Kev, mostly software development. Yeah, currently going over the CLI at this current moment, just to make it work with the new API.
Awesome. And you are typically with, well, you have a number of affiliations. You can pick one.
Yeah, I work at Aztec, and for the EF, I usually do vertical try stuff.
And this is your side project.
I don't know if I'd call it.
I'm just being facetious.
Yeah.
You got a lot going on. Takamichi?
Yeah, I'm Takamichi, and I am also from PSC team in the EF, and I'm mostly working with Jeff, Nico, and Shelly, and building front end for the ceremony. Yeah.
All right, awesome. So we've got a lot of front end people, which is great, but yeah, I have a feeling there might be not enough work to go around. But I guess we'll get there when we get there, or we'll find out quickly where people can be used and where, you know, where people can be productive. Charlie?
Hello, I'm Charlie. I'm also from PSE team. I'm a designer, so I try to make the interface beautiful.
Awesome. Yeah, and you've been doing great work. Yeah, I will probably be working with you. I know I keep saying this, but this time I'm serious. I'll be helping you with the copy, hopefully to make this more than just a, you know, a dry explanation of what trusted setups are. I give it a little bit of spice and some magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, thank you.
And then we have Amit. I think last time you said you were just here observing, but if you want to give an intro, feel free.
Yeah, I'm Ahmet. I'm from Netherlands Cryptographic Research Team. I'm a cryptographer. So, and I keep observing the improvement of your construction, and very happy today. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. And the last name I see is J.A.
Hello, guys. I am into the fellowship protocol, apprenticeship. I just applied. I am also the contributor for the EIP bot into the EIP editors group. I contribute via ECS. I'm very interested in all this development for what we are actually you guys are doing. I mean, I'm observing. But I'm really interested in this part of the ecosystem. We'll see how it goes with the application for the fellowship. I was into the core one, the not funded, and I work into the APIs comparison between clients. I mean, basically, a brief comparison between APIs between Get and Nethermind. Well, thank you. I'm just here to learn and contribute.
Awesome. Yeah, we're very glad to have you and Ahmet along for the ride. So yeah, thanks everybody for doing intros. Hopefully this group doesn't grow too much larger, otherwise it'll get pretty difficult to keep track of everybody. But this is great. There's a ton of people that we can put on different parts of this project. And this is important because the goal is to have an MVP by DevCon. So that's in 4 weeks-ish, 4 weeks, okay, yeah. Merge was today, the 15th. DevCon's a little bit before it, so yeah, let's say 3 weeks. And the goal is to have an MVP. We have a slot on the main stage. And so, you know, this doesn't have to be the full presentation or the full interface. All we need is a simple gated access. We enter a code. What's
so part of the discussion we've been having is to drop the whole gated access thing.
Just go all out?
Yeah, coordinator is good. Sorry, sequencer would be good to go.
Okay, so then the big thing would be making sure we're comfortable with the interface and it's, you know,
yeah,
works well enough.
Exactly. So we don't need to win any awards for technical, but we do need it stable enough that we're not going to irk people. And most of like we can't have the coordinator, sorry, sequencer rejecting people, or the worst would be if it accepts an incorrect contribution.
Right. Yes, that would be bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So like slightly buggy, or like you fail to log in or whatever. If that happens once in a while, that's okay, as long as that's not the predominant experience. But yeah, that's
okay.
Where we are.
Awesome.
So a while ago, when it was not looking like this was going to be shippable by DevCon, the idea was to do a gated version where there was like a login screen where you'd do this and you'd get a specific token which would only be valid for one contribution, and then you could do it and we'd hand this out to some people in the space to sort of test it out and have a closed beta kind of thing before we open it up to everyone.
Yeah, I was thinking of still doing something like that, but the week before DevCon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
The idea here would be that we wouldn't necessarily keep this all super secret, but it's not available at address that we publicize. It's more just people we trust anyway to not do this, particularly then because we can give the low contribution numbers to the big names in the space, such that if you go over the contribution file and just open it, it's going to list the names you'd expect first. Just easier for sanity checking or trust generation.
Got it. Okay. So the big thing, next steps was DevCon. It sounds like that's going to be manageable. And then following that would be the Sigma Prime audit, which was sort of scheduled a couple months ago. And there, we intend to have them review Sequencer. I guess that's what we're calling it now. And I guess that would fall after DevCon. We had slated it to start during DevCon, but that's not gonna work. So I guess it'd be after DevCon when, in fact, we're already receiving contributions. I guess this is okay, given we would also be receiving some sort of review from Scroll and also from the crypto team. So feels like 4 reviews is probably sufficient for this project. And if some bugs make it through that, then I think we've got bigger problems.
I mean, in theory, you only need to audit the transcript file at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the failure cases here are either so terrible everything collapses and it will be obvious, or we should be able to recover from them without too much technical and, more importantly, political damage.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so I think given the boost of having this live at DevCon, it's worth targeting that.
That's actually a good point. We should make sure we emphasize reliability and stability in the audit, and not hyper focus on the cryptography aspects of it, because that's auditable after the fact.
Yeah, that point.
We just want to make sure people are not going to DDoS or deface the.
Okay, yeah, good point.
Is the double sign-in going to be for DEF CON as well, Remco?
I can sketch something out. I consider it like a very nice to have, and I'll try and get it in. But we can launch without it.
Well, launching without means that the people we have with the low contributions, the key people in the space, means they won't have it. And if anything, they're the most important people to have it. So
fair enough.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think let's have a discussion after this call.
Yes.
Hash out exactly what it would look like. See if it's something we can implement now.
Yeah.
Put in the specs today, kind of thing. And if not, then can it?
Okay. A couple other things came to mind. So the first audit is complete, and they've written up a file. Kev, I believe you reviewed it. Is there anything else outstanding from that engagement that we need to take care of?
No, I think everything's been taken care of. And they did a good write-up to say what they looked for, what they couldn't find as well. So yeah, they didn't find anything sort of significant. So yeah, as I said, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And
is there analysis available somewhere? There are still some changes we would like to do in the crypto end. There's some further performance optimizations that can be done. Would be good to look at what they are looking for.
Yeah, the report link, I can paste it in the public channel.
Awesome.
Great. I think that might be it. Let me double check the agenda. I think that's everything. Is it, I guess one thing that comes to mind, is there a single person who's leading the interface, or is it sort of different people are touching different parts?
Wasn't the plan to have multiple teams?
Yes, my understanding is there are multiple interfaces. Yeah.
Okay.
So at the moment, it's my understanding, and there's something happened while I wasn't speaking to people, is that there's the interface you're working on, and then the PSC interface. Is that correct? Does that line up with everyone's?
Sounds about right.
At least on
Well, what are the two different interfaces for if we're only going to have one sequencer?
So the interfaces are actually where we get the security from, and bugs in the interface then propagate. Like if the setup is broken, it's going to happen because of the interface.
Okay.
The sequencer we can always audit. Like not audit. We will verify. Like all the clients will do this. That's like we'll know if something went wrong there. The risk of breaking the setup would be if there's a bug in the participant. So we want as many implementations as possible of the participant. So that's why having two sort of commonly used interfaces would be fantastic here. Sort of.
I mean, we're gonna have to we're gonna have to use one URL though, right? So, right.
So there'd be, I mean, there are two options here. One is a single URL, and then it presents you with a choose your own adventure style link,
Okay.
A or B, and we can just randomize the order the buttons show up in there. The alternative is to have two URLs, and then like they link out to the sequencer, which is always at a single location.
I like the former one. I have a feeling that with separate links, one is going to be very dominant.
Yeah.
I'd prefer to, if it's just a toggle of choose your own adventure. Yeah, I'd prefer that rather than two different links.
So then what does that look like, and how does the deployment for that look like? Is that going to link to a separate web page from there? Because I guess that this is now a separate thing that needs to be hosted.
Yeah, I guess I have not considered what two interfaces look like.
Are these just subdomains? I think we should try to keep them as like isolated deployments, or isolated servers serving the files. So I guess like, where do you get linked to from this?
I think it depends on what the requirements are for hosting it. Like I can imagine an implementation to just be a static website.
Yeah.
That should work.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe people want to do something a little bit more fancy and have a backend.
How are we going to ensure that like they're stylistically the same? The UX is this at least similar.
I don't think we do.
I don't think we want to.
Yeah. Again, more diversity here.
Hmm. Okay.
As Kez says, there's also he's got his CLI. Part of what I'm wanting to do here at ZK8 is to show more people to write their own little implementations, that kind of thing. Really, I think we can get up to, I don't know, tens of implementations, like more than 10 implementations here, with at the very least these two ones being nice and robust, and then the CLI, Kev CLI, which is hopefully also reasonably nice-ish to use, and other ones can just be sort of one-off use cases that people wrote.
Yeah. Related point actually that is still on the agenda, if we still have time for it, Trent.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So right now we moved some of the crypto code to the ceremony sequencer, but my idea is to turn this into a shared library that can also compile to WASM, also does a little bit of the JSON encoding stuff. And then the clients can share this code. Obviously, the downside of that is that we remove some of the diversification in terms of crypto implementation. However, we can make this shared library have multiple backends. We can implement it on both Artworks and BLSD. That should be doable. So, yeah, just generally bringing this idea up of creating a KZG-Ceremony lib, I guess,
okay.
Repository where we will have a crypto core and then some utility functions around it, around the file formats that can compile to WASM. That will be really easy for the front ends to integrate.
So note this was kind of already the design a bit with the whole SDK. This is just, I guess, formalizing into its own repo now. And it's already what like the work Kev did initially when he started writing his own little crypto thing, and it's what we've audited with the idea of it being used. I guess this is just now being slightly more formal as to what that is.
Can make Powers of Tau one of the backend options for sure.
We'll keep the JSON part in. We said, right? We have a merge package and just
yeah.
Cool. Basically doing this already, like reuse, or at least I reuse the part for all three, and then
yeah, it just needs a little bit of refactoring and thinking about the architecture to make it clean. I do want to like split it up into separate crates within the repo where the crypto is like its own separate thing, which just makes auditing a lot easier.
So I guess then the only really important thing to make sure here is that we just remain consistent with the SDK, or I don't know if there's additional interfaces that Jeff, you guys are using on the like what that looks like when you're interacting with Kev's WASM stuff.
Yeah, so we've switched to Philip's WASM stuff, which is a similar interface, and it's just passing the SRS in and the entropy, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of entropy, do we want to offer some sort of key stretching primitive like Argon 2 as part of this crypto toolkit?
What is key stretching?
So, sorry.
The key stretching is where you take something low entropy user input like a password and make it computationally harder by doing a lot of hashing on top.
Sure. I mean, I guess it depends on how much work it is and whether it would just
So
whether it's a nice to have or
it should be trivial. There are existing us grades, we can just like compile them in add them as a dependency and offer up like a nice API for it, and then it will be easy for the front end team to integrate it if they end up using this crypto library already.
The reason this is relevant is basically if you're taking user input, you have to do this anyway in order to do it in a reasonably secure manner, because user input is not really random. It's somewhat random, but not like uniformly random, even if they were to keyboard smash really well, or wiggle mouse really well. So it's just how do you turn that user input into something that looks more uniform in its randomness? And this would be a standardized way of doing it. I guess the only thing is now this is another thing in the pipeline which would be common to both implementations and would touch the secret. So just need to be a little bit careful as to what we do here. But it's not like you don't have to use it if it's there, right? It is an option.
Yeah.
But realistically, if we are trying to standardize this, that would be common. I don't know what you guys have done in the past for this, Jeff. In terms of turning user input into something proper, what was your approach there? Or did you take user input?
No, we don't generally take user input. We just use dev/random.
Okay, I mean that's also a valid approach.
But wait, right now we have the front end that Charlie designed where users have to, well, the idea was to spell to input some magic spell, right? So put a string, and later on we were thinking on doing entropy with the mouse or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so it would be how do you exactly that? How do you take that and turn it into this thing? And yeah,
it's actually it's pretty straightforward. Just take everything you can collect, so XY coordinates of the mouse, but also the timestamp you receive the events, which contains a lot of entropy, and you just throw all of that in a big hash function, and out comes like your blended refined entropy, or your iteration function. I think one thing that might be worth discussing is how do you determine how much you need to collect, whether you've collected sufficient entropy. That's actually a very, very hard problem. And we probably just want to do some dumb heuristics here. Like we want to collect, I don't know, at least 1,000 mouse events or something like that.
Yeah.
Just have a little meter that fills up.
Nico, have you guys started doing this already? Started doing the wiggly mouse stuff in terms of an actual implementation?
I think we've just got a keyboard entry field.
Okay,
yes.
Just a text box. I think that's what we mentioned before. Okay.
Yeah.
So we can do, I guess, length checks on the text box, and then for everything else. But again, this can differ between the two implementations. These are the kinds of things where I think it's like good to
You're saying implementation, do you mean interface?
Yes, interfaces. Participant implementations.
With keyboard especially, most of the entropy is not in which key you pressed, but in when you pressed it. So there it's like very important to collect the timestamps.
All right.
All right. Awesome. Go ahead, Kev. We're down to 1 minute, so just wrap up.
Yeah, I was just gonna quickly say the way that I did it was I just hashed the user input and then just XOR'd it with a random, whatever I got from like dev random.
Yeah. There is a web crypto standard that should give you an equivalent of dev random in the browser.
But with hashing and XORing, it means that it doesn't matter if the user does rubbish input. Like if it's just A's, it doesn't matter because you're XORing it with dev random.
XORing is not the best way of combining entropy. You can just concatenate it and then hash it all together.
Yeah, you can do that as well. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap up here. This is a very fast-paced, productive call, I think. Thank you everybody for contributing, and sounds like everybody has an idea of what they're doing. If not, please put it in the public channel. While everyone is at ZK Summit, Carl, you reminded me that yes, we do need to start thinking about this special I mean, there's two sort of special cases outside of the public ceremony, which is anybody who wants to roll their own implementation. If we're not already there, we should start thinking about how to make it as easy as possible for somebody to do this. What do they need to know? What sort of docs do they need access to? Yeah, that basic pitch. And then the other thing is we want to start getting the special contributions of, you know, somebody doing it on a satellite or whatever.
Yeah.
The wacky stuff that will be part of the story, the narrative of where we're getting our randomness from. So you can show that to people, which I'm sure you're probably already going to do, but yeah, SDK Summit's a great place to do that.
I think in terms of opening up RFCs for really insane special contributions, I think we should also launch that at DevCon as a part of a bit of a hype ceremony hype thing. And so,
Awesome.
yeah, I mean, let's discuss this async, but yeah, that'd be a basic idea, but always welcome to these things. And I think the channels of public channels becoming more and more useful, but between that and issues on all the repos, I think that's probably the best way to keep communication going.
Excellent. All right. Yeah. Thank you again, everybody. And we will talk in 2 weeks at a minimum and in the Discord, definitely. All right.
Fantastic. Thanks all.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks.